welcome to the Ghosts of Harrenhal. My name's Simon.
And I'm McKelly.
Thank you for joining us for episode 45 of our chapter-by-chapter book review of A Song of Ice and Fire by George Martin. Today we're discussing chapter 44 of A Game of Thrones. That's Sansa 3.
As always, we'll chat about the chapter and try not to spoil any future plot points for you, and hopefully we'll provide you with some entertainment along the way.
We'll summarise what's happened, discuss our thoughts on it, provide some useful background, compare it to the television show, indulge in a little pedantry, and cover some reader mail. Be sure to check out our show notes. They provide some additional information about the characters and other things of note in this chapter. How are you?
Well, about the same as I was last week. How about you?
Me too.
Yeah?
Me too. Nothing's changed. Well, it's gotten colder here, which is very strange for this time of year.
Yeah, today was crazy cold. It wasn't even 60, I don't think.
I don't think I've ever known a colder June day here in North Carolina. I mean, it is genuinely chilly out there.
Yeah, I'm dressed like it's fall. I got on long pants. And, well, I have a sweatshirt. I'm not wearing it, but I've got one over there in the corner. So
very strange. Is it some weather event that I've missed?
I don't know. If it is,
just rain.
It's news to me too. I haven't really been paying attention to the weather. Although we, not you and I, but my family and I leave for vacation this Saturday. So I hope the weather can be whatever it wants to be up to this point. Up to Saturday. By Saturday, I need it to be nice, warm, and sunny skies.
By the time they hear this, you'll already be back from your vacation, so do you want to tell the listeners where you're going?
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, in case they all come hounding you at wherever it is. You know.
No autographs, please. No autographs. I'm trying to enjoy time with my family, people. We're going to a little island off the coast of off the North Carolina coast called Bald Head Island. And no, it's not just for people that are follically challenged like myself. Even people with full heads of hair can enjoy Bald Head Island. It's a really cool little place. There's no cars. They don't allow cars on the island, so everybody gets around in either bikes or golf carts. So
you've been there before, right?
Yeah. We went there last year. Yeah. Had a good time. Such a good time. We decided to do it again. So
well, I'm terribly excited because English soccer is about to restart.
Yes, that's right. You would be excited.
Apparently, they have plans to televise every single game from now to the end of the season.
Ooh.
Which is 90 games.
Wow, nice. Very exciting stuff.
I mean, if you told me mid-season I've got to watch 90 games of soccer, I'm like, ugh. But you tell me now, and I'm like, I'm watching them all, every single one,
every single game.
All right. Well, despite this is not being a very long chapter, we've managed to put together a boatload of notes, so let's get on with the show.
Let's do it.
Quick recap of what Sansa was up to last time we saw her. It's been a while since we've seen Sansa. The last time we saw her she was having the magical time at the tournament in her father's honour.
Yeah.
But then had a disconcerting but enlightening conversation with Sandor Clegane, the Hound, about his relationship with his brother Gregor, and how his face came to be so badly burned. Since then, she's had several squabbles with her sister Arya, and prayed daily over her unconscious father after Ned's injury, which appears to have worked, because he did wake up.
That's right.
And more recently, she was in the throne room when Ned issued his edict against Gregor Clegane, and labelled him a traitor and tainted him.
That's exactly what he did. Off with his head, he said.
Exactly. So why don't we get in the summary?
So Sansa and her friend Jeyne Poole sit at dinner. They're alone, and Sansa's telling Jeyne stories from her day at court, the day that Simon just referenced. She's both sad and perplexed that her father rejected Ser Loras Tyrell's offer to bring Gregor Clegane to justice on Ned's behalf. We also learn that she had a kind of awkward conversation with Petyr Baelish after court regarding Ned's handling of the Gregor Clegane matter. As for Jeyne, she's enthralled with Sir Beric Dondarrion and glad Ned sent him instead.
Sansa thinks Jeyne's silly for being so in love with Sir Beric, as she's just a steward's daughter. Sansa changes the subject by pretending to have had a dream where Joffrey killed the White Hart that the court is hunting and brought it back for Sansa. She knows Joff likes hunting, especially the killing part, Jeyne brings up Sir Ilyn, the tongueless King's Justice, and the thought of him makes Sansa's skin crawl. Finally, Sansa tells of a smelly old man from the Night's Watch who came to court begging for men for the wall.
I think I know who that is. The next morning, Sansa watches Sir Beric lead the men, including Alan, Ned's new captain of guard, off to hunt down Gregor Clegane. At breakfast, Arya wonders where everyone is, and Sansa tells her that they left to go behead the mountain. Arya thinks they should kill Jaime and the Hound, too. They also killed innocent people, so there's some logic there. Sansa says it's very different. Micah attacked Joffrey. This, of course, leads to a fight, ending in Sansa's pretty dress being ruined. Septa Mordane sends them both off to their chambers.
Sansa takes a nap and dreams of running with Lady before being woken again by Septa Mordane. She and Arya are brought to their father's chambers. Thinking they're in trouble, Sansa immediately says it was all Arya's fault. Ned says they're not here because they're in trouble. He's sending them back to Winterfell. It's just too dangerous in King's Landing. Both girls protest. Sansa thinks life is now officially over for her. Ned says he'll find her a better betrothal, that Joff isn't a good match. She says he's nothing like his drunken father. At this, Ned starts. Gods, out of the mouth of babes. Arya wants to bring Syrio Forel, which Ned allows, if he's willing. As the girls leave, Arya tries to cheer Sansa up by pointing out they'll soon be back with family and old friends. Sansa slams the door in her face.
So yeah, not a long chapter and mostly filled with fluff. Sansa fluff.
So how old is Sansa? 12?
Yes, 12.
12, yeah. She has the interests and attention span of a 12-year-old girl.
Yes, that's very apparent. She, in a lot of ways, she reminds me of my 14-year-old girl. So.
There you go. If you were reading a book about her life, you'd probably be quite bored.
Yes. That's a good point. Yeah. It would involve a lot of TikTok dances and some Fortnite, I think. And, of course, swimming.
Has she ever won a Battle Royale at Fortnite?
I don't know. Do you know, I've played Fortnite 2 times. Actually, we're back-to-back. The first time, I finished like 35th or second something. The second time, I finished second overall.
Oh, man. You should not have given up.
Yeah, I mostly just hid, and I stayed in the storm a lot. And, they don't really come after you in the storm. So I basically just let everybody else kill each other.
But doesn't that hurt you?
It does, yeah. But Molly was guiding me. I didn't know what I was doing, so she was kind of guiding me along through it. And I had some repair yourself kits that I kept using.
Yeah.
So that was it. I retired. I'm not going to do any better than second place. So
yeah,
I retired.
Lucas, my son has finished second like 12 times. He's never quite won. It's it's so painful for him.
It's coming.
Yeah. No, it's not. He's given up too. Alright, so to business. So Sansa's perplexed that Ned didn't send Ser Loras, who she saw agitating to be on this quest to bring back Sir Gregor.
Yes.
She assumes that it's because he's got a bad leg that he's grumpy.
That made me laugh. She was rather adorable that she was certain that it was because of his broken leg that making him grumpy that he wasn't allowing Ser Loras to go.
Yeah, I think it's because for her it's a perfect fit. Sir Gregor is a monster and Ser Loras is a hero.
Right.
Those two clearly should be in the same storyline.
Yes, right.
You'd have to be seriously agitated by your bad leg not to notice that and put them together.
Yeah, how he missed that, it can only be the leg.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
the only option. It was also kind of amusing when Jeyne was like, "What happened to Ser Loras' leg?" And he's like, "Not Ser Loras' leg, father's leg." Yeah.
So then we hear back that although Sansa doesn't report this to Jeyne, she keeps this to herself. But after the scene at court that she recounts, on her way back, Littlefinger overhears Sansa telling Septa Mordane that she disagrees with her father's decisions. Septa Mordane tells her to keep her mouth shut, that she's, a child and should not counter her Lord Father's decisions. But Littlefinger chips in with some of his decisions need a little bit of questioning.
I don't know. He didn't go into details, but he was the one that that verbally scoffed at Loras, saying, "If we sent you, you'll come back. Your head'll come back with a plum in that pretty mouth of yours." So maybe there's more that he was questioning, which we questioned some of his decisions as well. Maybe it was just he should not go alone. I don't know, but he verbally also questioned the idea of just sending Ser Loras.
I think that Littlefinger didn't hear what Sansa said. I think he only heard what Septa Mordane said. When Septa Mordane told her to not question her father's decisions, that's what he pricked up his ears to.
Uh-huh.
Because then he asked Sansa what she thought, and she couldn't help herself. She said, "Well, Sir Gregor's a monster, and Ser Loras is a hero. Send one to kill the other." Right. And Littlefinger was like, "Oh, I see."
Yeah. I think his line was something like, "Well, that's not exactly the reason I would have chosen to send Ser Loras." And then, of course, he tells her life is not a song, and she may learn that someday to her sorrow. She certainly has not learned that yet, because just about everything that comes out of her mouth is some way based on a fairy tale or a song.
Yeah. But then, as he's saying this, he strokes her cheek in his creepy uncle kind of way. And it's an interesting thing, because I thought, from what I've seen of them and what I know is to come, I thought he would be continually unctuous towards her, sort of like being very, like saying, "Oh, that's a terrific idea," but he wasn't. He actually knocked her down a peg or two by saying, "That's not what I would have thought."
Yeah.
But then at the same time, he strokes her cheek again, and it just feels like maybe he's intentionally just trying to sort of confuse her feelings, sort of like discombobulate her and leave her feeling. He never wants her to leave his side feeling content and comfortable and safe. He always wants her to feel
awkward.
Awkward.
And uncomfortable.
He's nailing that.
Really good at his job if that's what he's going for.
Yeah.
But Jeyne thinks that the King's Justice, Sir Ilyn Payne, should have gone. And of course, we know from the ride back from Winterfell when she first met Sir Ilyn that he makes her very uncomfortable. And I believe the analogy she used was like something dead slithering over her naked skin. So,
the kind of thing that would creep you out. Yes.
I hope to never be described by anyone in that way. If I don't do that, that will be one success in my life. If I'm never described as such.
We mostly keep it behind your back.
Okay, as long as I don't hear it, then that's fine. But the thing about this, I get she's like a 12-year-old. But okay, say they send Sir Ilyn, say he's in charge. How does he deliver his commands? He doesn't have a tongue, so he would write everything down, hand it to someone, and that person would shout out the commands.
He was the kind of man who did his talking with his fists.
Yeah, I guess so.
He was a puppeteer.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons why it wouldn't make sense to send Sir Ilyn, but she's not the only one to bring that up, because Lord Varys brought that up last chapter at the end of court as well.
I have to say that line out of Ser Varys' mouth made a lot of sense. Jeyne Poole coming up with the same idea? I'm not so sure.
Now all of a sudden you're like, Varys, I thought better of you.
Yeah. No, it's George Martin. I thought better of you. Because, sure, you know that, you're the writer, but this character shouldn't have that kind of insight,
True, that's true, yeah. She thinks Beric is as much a hero as Loras. He's brave and gallant. Do you like how I said that? Gallant.
I kind of liked it.
Okay, good. And
it's like watching a fish ride a bicycle.
If you remember back in the tournament chapter with Sansa, Jeyne, when she first laid eyes on Sir Beric, said she would marry him on the instant. So, big fan of Sir Beric.
Given that she's a steward's daughter, she should really apply that to pretty much every lord she sees, because as Sansa cruelly thinks, right, she's not got a chance with any of them,
Yeah. That never stopped me from fawning over Christy Brinkley when I was, her age.
Well, now that you're famous.
Right. So you're saying I've got a chance.
Exactly.
No, that's not what you said. Not at all.
So Sansa changes the subject because she feels a bit awkward about the whole Beric thing by pretending to have a dream in which Joffrey killed the White Hart. She admits that she's pretending to have this dream. This is not just us saying that she was pretending. She admits it.
She doesn't admit it out loud, but she thinks in her head that it sounded better than a wish, which is what it actually was.
Right. So she said that in songs, the hero knights touch the magical beast and then they sort of like form a bond. But she knows that Joff likes to kill things, so she doesn't bother rose tinting her wish dream, and he basically kills it instead.
Yeah. I was wondering if that's... obviously it didn't, but may have possibly sent off some alarm bells that he likes killing animals so much.
Clearly it didn't.
It didn't, but maybe it should have. No. Just a little bit, maybe. Even
she
to a
hasn't
12-year-old.
She hasn't watched as many true crime dramas as we have, where the murderer was known to have, killed animals for fun as a child.
Apparently that must be the situation. So, you got a little bit of an imagery there of Joffrey killing a majestic stag. Now, he's half Baratheon, which Sigil is the stag, but you forget that he's Baratheon. He seems 100% Lannister.
Yeah. Yes.
Which, comes up later. Arya points out the same thing when Sansa mentions him being a lion, and she says, he's a stag, by the way, in case you may have forgotten. Uh-huh. He just doesn't come across very Baratheon-like.
Yeah. But before we get to that, Sansa finishes her sort of like summary of everything she saw at court. She saw the Man of the Night's Watch begging for men for the wall. She sort of contrasts what she saw there with her image of the Night's Watch, which is her Uncle Benjen.
Yes.
And this guy was old and smelly and lice-ridden, not like Uncle Benjen. I guess Uncle Benjen had a better job, or Yoren's just disgusting.
Yep, could be a little of both. She says if all the men of the Night's Watch are like this, she feels bad for her bastard half-brother Jon. And we've heard almost all, except for Rickon, all of the other Stark children refer to Jon. And she's the only one that refers to him as bastard half-brother. So she's still kind of lording it over him that he is not a full sibling.
I can't believe you've just left a Rickon joke just lying there. Yeah. That's not like...
That's true. That is true. I need to go back and redo that. This made me think about Yoren. He's been doing his job dutifully for a long time, and for that, I thank him. But maybe it's time for a younger, better-smelling, maybe highborn type man to be the face of the Night's Watch. It might net them better results.
Interesting.
I was thinking that might have been a good job for Sir Waymar, because clearly him leading a ranging north of the Wall was not what he was cut out for. Maybe this job.
Yeah, but I mean, that's an interesting thought. That is an interesting thought, and Yoren just becomes other fodder.
Yeah, right. He can retire up at Castle Black and just tend to some.
Actually, you know what though? There's a good idea there, because the more old and pathetic members of the Night's Watch you send north of the Wall, the more feeble they are when they're turned into whites by the others.
Good point. They're like arthritis and stuff would slow them down.
Exactly. The last thing you want is a muscle-bound sword carrier up there.
Good point. Yeah, they should switch roles. Put all the Rangers are the feeble old men.
So nobody takes up Yoren's offer. Ned says he can empty the dungeons. And then 2 free riders from the Dornish Marches pledge their swords to Robert, and Ned accepts them. The Dornish Marches are the sort of border region between Dorne and the Crown Lands. The Stormlands.
Yeah. And, this little line right here, it seems like a throwaway line, and 2 free riders from the Dornish Marches pledge their swords to Robert, and Ned accepts them. And they just go on. But you never know with Martin. He has this way of sometimes tying random, unrelated topics of conversation that turn out to be useful, big things. And I honestly can't remember if this is one of them or not, but I'm just curious.
Thank goodness. I thought you were going to have some like great insight there, and I was going to be left here like an idiot, like, oh, I don't remember that at all.
I really can't.
Yes,
I can't remember if these guys come out. Yeah. Now, remember, House Dondarrion is from the Dornish Marches, so it's possible there could be some Dondarrion connection with these two free riders. Maybe, because Sir Beric was chosen to lead this, they decided to pledge their swords as well. I don't know, but it just seemed like such a tiny throwaway unimportant line that I feel like there must be some underlying importance to it. So then Jeyne interrupts Sansa and says, "Are there any lemon cakes?" And one thing Sansa loves is lemon cakes, so they go off looking through the kitchens for lemon cakes. They don't find any. They find a strawberry pie, and they sit on the steps of the Tower of the Hand, I think it is, and they eat the strawberry pie, and they're sharing gossip and telling stories and secrets. And Sansa's line is something along the lines of, "She went to bed being almost as wicked as Arya," which makes me laugh because it's like that Arya is the barometer for wickedness in Sansa's eyes. Almost as wicked as Arya.
She's betrothed to Joffrey Baratheon.
Yeah.
She's sort of beloved by both Petyr Baelish and Sandor Clegane. And she's crossed paths with Ilyn Payne. And somehow Arya is the wicked one.
Right. It's all about perspective, I guess.
Yeah. Sansa gets up early the next morning to watch Dondarrion lead the men, including Alyn, off to their duty in the Riverlands to bring back Gregor. They're actually not bringing him back, are they? They're going to put him to death. I mean, there's no request to bring him back.
Right. No, they're going to put him to death.
So Alyn is flying the Stark banners and amongst the King's banners and other banners that are going. Sansa's very proud of that, but she does notice once they've gone how empty the tower feels.
Yeah.
It's a little bit concerning.
And Ned, do you remember in the Arya chapter when she fought with Sansa and stormed off to her room, and then Ned came and talked to her in her room and she showed him Needle, and he was saying to her how dangerous King's Landing is, how important it is that they make sure that they're safe and protected. And he keeps giving away the better half of his guard like he just did for this. He gave away 20 of his best men.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like, he has a duty, presumably, to donate some men to that cause, but he could possibly have sent a raven north and, had those men come down from the north.
Something,
rather than reducing his own garrison here.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Sansa breaks her fast with Arya, and for once she knows a little bit more than her sister. Arya is unaware of what the quest that they're watching leave was about.
She wonders why. She just wonders why it's so empty around the tower.
Right, and she assumes that they're going after Jaime, but Sansa explains who they're actually going after.
This is when she asks Septa Mordane, "Is Sir Beric going to put Sir Gregor's head on a spike at his castle, or is he going to bring his head back to the king?" And Septa Mordane says, she kind of gasps and says, "Ladies, do not discuss such things over porridge. I swear, Sansa, you're almost as bad as your sister these days."
Nice.
So once again, Arya is the barometer for wickedness.
Mm-hmm. So Arya explains that she thinks the Jaime and the Hound's crimes are just as bad as Gregor Clegane's, and she's not wrong.
No, it's a scale. There's a scale thing. I think Sir Gregor killed and burned a lot more people, but still, it was still murder. Both were murder. Yeah. So she's got a case there.
Yeah. Sansa disagrees with Arya over this, and slightly leaning on alternative facts, she claims that Micah attacked Joffrey, leading to the whole thing with the Hound and Micah.
Yeah.
Which, of course, she knows is not true. She witnessed it.
And she knows Arya witnessed it, so it was an odd time to whip up that lie.
Arya and Nymeria attacked Joffrey at various points in that.
Yeah.
But Micah most certainly did not.
If anyone did nothing, it was Micah.
Yeah. So Arya pretty fairly calls Sansa a liar.
I like this next scene. Sansa says, "You can call me all the names you want, But soon, when I'm queen and I'm married to Joffrey, you're going to have to call me your grace and bow to me. And Arya, who had been peeling a blood orange to this point, throws the orange at Sansa. It smacks her in the forehead, drops down onto her to her ivory silk dress, which happens to have been a gift from Queen Cersei. And Arya says, "You have juice on your face, your grace."
So,
wicked.
This doesn't make
wicked.
sense.
That's the only word I can use to describe her.
Maybe they're both right. Arya's the one. So Mordane dispatches them both to their rooms to await the hand's justice for their terrible behaviour. Sansa gets out of the ruined dress, and it really is ruined. I mean, it was white silk. Now it's got a blood orange stain down the front.
Yeah.
It's not going to work anymore.
Nope.
And after... So she falls asleep, and then Septa Mordane wakes her up, and they're dragged off to Ned's room. She assumes that they're being dragged there because of their fight, but that's not why Ned has brought them there at all. So Sansa straight in with the accusations. All of them are basically true against Arya. Watched all the things she's done.
Yeah, she called me a liar. She did call you a liar,
right.
But that's because you were lying.
Yeah. It does rather skip over her own part in it.
Yes. And then Arya, it even caught me a little bit by surprise. She takes an unusual tactic of contrition and being apologetic and offers first to wash the dress, which Sansa says that's not going to do anything. And then she even offers to make a new dress for Sansa, who, of course, is both stunned, speechless for a second, and then scoffs at the idea of Arya making a dress as fine as the one that the queen gave her. She says, "You couldn't make a dress fit to tend the pigs," or something like that.
Yeah. But think of this from Ned's eyes. He's got his two daughters there, and one of them is being sort of peevish and childish, and the other one is actually being sweet and contrite.
Right.
Arya is the smarter thinker
Yep.
here. She's winning this battle, and that Sansa can't even see it.
She can't. Yeah. If I was Sansa,
But-
I would think I've been looking for a trap. Like, what is the trap?
Exactly.
Why are you being so
You've lived
nice
with-
all of a sudden?
Exactly. You've lived with Arya long enough to know this is not her. So Ned announces that they're both being shipped back to Winterfell, that King's Landing is just too dangerous, and neither of them want to go. Sansa because, she's going to be the queen, and Arya because of Ser Loras.
Yeah.
Arya's just loving the dancing lesson.
Sansa's reaction, her overreaction to all this, I get it. She's a 12-year-old girl. She's in King's Landing. She's a highborn young lady at court. She loves fairy tales and stories and seeing gallant knights and all that jazz. I'm just going to say gallant as much as I can. In this,
I think you should, yes.
Every opportunity I'm going to say gallant. That's how they do it in the audiobook. Gallant. And I think that's how Sophie Turner says it as well.
Oh, there you go. Apparently she's pregnant, according to Carson.
Okay. We should save that for news and notes.
I will.
Okay.
I'll come back to that in news and notes. So Sansa is mystified that Arya keeps on going on about her dancing lessons. Just like this scene, that must raise bells in Sansa's head. Like, first of all, she's dancing.
Right.
And second of all, she's enjoying it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
You would think that she would be like, that just doesn't make sense. Something isn't adding up here. But I think she's a little too in her own head to even care that doesn't add up in any way.
But Ned laughs about the fact that he's finally got them to agree on something, but he reminds them that 3 Stark men were slain and the king did nothing.
Yeah, he went hunting.
So it's time. It's time for them to get out of there. He gets Arya on board because he says, well, if Ser Loras willing to come to Winterfell, then he can come with us and you can keep your dancing lessons going.
Yeah.
But Sansa's absolutely adamant that she doesn't want to go. She wants to stay, become queen, and give birth to the greatest king ever. Brave as the wolf and proud as the lion.
That's when Arya snorts and says, that won't happen with Joffrey as the father. And anyway, he is a stag, which is what I was saying earlier. And then
Sansa,
we get the big moment that we've all been waiting for. Sansa explodes. He is nothing like that drunk king father of his. And boom.
Yes.
It hits.
The light bulb, not yet invented, goes off over Ned's head.
Yep.
He's like, he is nothing like his father.
He's nothing like his father.
Not one single thing.
Nothing about him is in any way like his father.
But Maya Stone and Gendry and the baby Barra all look just like him.
But yet Joffrey doesn't look anything like him.
Neither does Myrcella. Neither does Tommen. None of them.
Hmm.
They all take after their mother.
Right.
So
now, John Aaron was saying the seed is strong, and Liza Aaron thought it was about her son, their son, Robert Aaron. But we've met him. There's nothing strong about that kid.
And she's a nutcase.
If he was talking about him, he was saying the seed is strong in insanity. That's about the only thing he's got.
So yes, and that's right. He was reading the lineages of the and histories of the great houses of the Seven Kingdoms, with descriptions of many high lords and noble ladies and their children.
Yep.
They were described.
Yes.
That book described what they looked like. So you can go back over hundreds of years and see what Baratheons looked like.
Yep. And he was very interested in the breeding of hunting dogs, which you pointed out in that chapter. That goes into lineages and appearances and all that stuff.
Yeah. And, again, we're trying not to spoil, but we can throw one extra piece of information in here that we, as readers, know that Ned, as a character, does not know.
What is that? Do tell. I think I know what you're going to say.
Cersei and Jaime Lannister are having sex.
Oh, but true.
Yeah. It's gruesome, but it is true. And that could be a reason why Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen don't look exactly like Robert Baratheon.
Could be. It could. I think we've done a great job of still keeping the mystery alive here.
Yeah. The thing about this, it made me wonder if there have been any rumours of this.
Yeah.
Because I tried to go back over sort of previous notes, and I don't think anyone has mentioned this as a rumour. But it feels like it's the kind of thing that would be rumored.
Right. Like I was saying earlier, that Martin would have thrown into like some throwaway comment, like, "Boy, it's so unusual for Barathean children to have blonde hair," or "Boy, they're the spitting image of the mother." You know, just some throwaway comment like that. But I'm not aware.
And her twin brother.
And her twin brother. I was doing notes earlier today. Stacey was cooking dinner, and I was talking about this section, and she goes, Stacey goes, "None of them even have like a googly eye or anything." And I was like, it's not just regular incest. This is like twin incest. So
right.
But
so yeah,
I like how so Ned sends them back. He's got to think. He's just made an amazing discovery. His mind is blown. So he sends the girls off to go pack. And Arya is trying to make Sansa feel better as Septa Mordane is marching them to their rooms. And she says, "It's not all bad, Sansa. We're going to go on a ship. It'll be an adventure. And then we'll be with Bran and Robb again. And Old Nan and Hodor. And is she forgetting someone? I swear she's forgetting
You were saving up the Rickon joke for later, weren't you?
Even his own sister forgot he existed. She brought up Hodor and forgot Rickon.
Hodor's dogs! The fleas on Hodor's dogs! Everyone got a mention. Poor Rickon. Alright, so that's the end of that chapter.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to dwell too much on the thing that we have essentially revealed at this point, because it's going to come up fairly substantially in the next chapter.
I think so.
That one...
Explosion. Light bulbs. Fireworks.
Huge.
I wondered... When they came into the room, when Sansa came in, she came in first. The description mentioned that he was reading a big book. And I wonder if he had just been reading the book that, what's it called? The Lineages and Histories of the Great Houses of the Seven Kingdoms. If he had just been reading that, so it was fresh in his mind, and then Sansa makes that statement about Joffrey being nothing like his drunken father, and the fact that it was fresh in his mind, and she made that right then was the cocktail required to set him down the right path.
Yeah. So, we'll leave it here. We will come back to it next time. So, to background. So, Jeyne Poole, we've met Jeyne before. She's the daughter of Ned's steward, Jeyne Poole. House Poole do have a sigil. They're noble enough to have a sigil. It's a blue plate on white with a silver border.
That's something. She's not just a steward's daughter. She's a steward's daughter with a sigil.
Exactly. She is 1 year younger than Sansa. I think basically between Sansa and Arya in age. Okay. But she physically, I mean, she's just like Sansa. I mean, she's kind of like snooty and likes the finer things of a lady. Yeah. But she has more of the northern look like Arya. If you remember, Sansa takes after her Tully mother.
Right.
And Arya's more of a Stark.
Yeah. She was one of the girls that Sansa was talking with when Arya was having a terrible time in the sewing session and snapped, and Marcella was there, and Septa Mordane was so embarrassed by it all.
I remember it well, and so does Sansa when Arya says, "I can make you a new dress."
Right.
That's a crappy offer, because you're no good at this.
So the Dornish marches get a mention. That's where the two free riders that pledge their swords.
Who may or may not turn out to be very important in the
exactly.
story. We don't remember.
Yes. Those two who we can't remember if they're important or not, but that's good because it leaves us with some...
Yeah. We'll just keep pointing out every character, and if they become important, we'll look back on it and say, we told you.
Do you remember when we mentioned that guy? So they're from the Dornish marches, and that's an area of southern Westeros in the border region between the Stormlands, the Reach, and Dorne, which I think Simon mentioned earlier. They're predominantly in the southwest Stormland and extend east to the Sea of Dorne. So the marches are known for producing excellent bowmen, as we saw with Anguy. You may remember Anguy. He's the guy. Anguy is the guy who won the archery contest during the Hands Tourney, and then Ned approached him about an offer to join his service, and he rejected him. It's a fairly diverse topography, the Dornish marches. It's got some grasslands, some moors and plains, and even some of the Red Mountains are in the eastern portion of the marches. Once upon a time, the marches saw plenty of battles between the Stormlands and the Reach with Dorne, until King Daeron II Targaryen finally brought Dorne into the Seven Kingdoms, and now it just acts as a nice buffer zone between those old enemies, the Stormlands and the Reach and Dorne. Because they spent so long defending themselves against the Dornish, the Marcher Lords of the Stormlands have a strong martial tradition and pretty formidable castles, so that's nice, I guess. Nice for them. Some of the houses include, obviously, the Dondarrions, which we mentioned earlier, also House Cairn of Nightsong, and Sir Barristan Selmy, the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, is from the region, as Harvest Hall, the seat of House Selmy, is found in the marches. And House Swan of Stonehelm, whose second son Balon had a good showing at the Hands Tourney, including a top 3 in the archery. Like I said, they produce good archers.
So 2 medals.
Right.
2 medals. Yeah, pretty good.
House Cairn styles itself Lord of the Marches, but they don't actually have any dominion over the fellow Marcher Lords. So that's probably all you ever wanted to know about the Dornish marches.
The darn Dornish marches. So, comparison with television show. Some fairly sizable departures here. The only part of this whole chapter that's maintained in the show is the scene with Arya and Ned. Prior to that, Sansa is hanging out with Septa Mordane. Jeyne doesn't exist. And showing a little too much southern sass and Lannisterness for Septa Mordane's liking. They are joined by Prince Joffrey, who is charming, begs forgiveness for his former sins, promises to never disrespect Sansa again. He flatters her with stories of how she'll rule from the last hearth to the salt sea. They kiss.
Wow, how romantic.
It's so sweet. In the scene with her dad and sister, there is a very funny moment when Ned says, I'll make you a better match than Joffrey. I'll find you someone who's brave, gentle, and strong. And Sansa replies, I don't want someone brave, gentle, and strong. I want him. And Arya's reaction is exactly your reaction. And Ned sees Arya laugh, and he laughs too. So, yes. Again, Sansa just been a bit dim.
Yeah, that line was actually in the book. But
it was, but neither of them laughed.
I laughed.
In the TV show. In the TV show, they both laughed at it. Yeah, it's really good. He doesn't react as much in the TV show as he does in the book too. He's nothing like his dad, but you can see he's much calmer about it in the TV show. He's like, He's like, you two go pack, and then he goes back to the books and starts
dancing around and punching in the air and stuff. I got it.
And basically, what he reads is that Baratheon after Baratheon is dark-haired. In fact, I think he sort of goes through with like a lineage of dark of hair, coming forward in time, and he hits Joffrey, blonde of hair.
Right.
And it's kind of, yeah. So, pedantry, I didn't really find anything here. I had something, but then you pointed out that it was actually in the wrong chapter. So, which, you can't get your pedantry wrong, because then, you're going to get hauled up on that.
That's very possible, yeah. Yeah, I didn't find anything either.
So news and notes. We are planning a bit of a special event for our 50th episode. We're not quite sure how we're going to do it yet, so more details in future episodes. We're getting close. This is episode 46. We better get a move on, McKelly.
Yeah, we better. You have first announced it on like episode 40 that we were going to do something. So we've had 6 episodes where we've done absolutely nothing.
But I think the basic idea we thought of is to have just a Q&A. So think of questions, send them in. We might do something where we invite audio questions. We might do it live or something like that. I'm not sure. But be thinking about questions you want to ask us. It could be anything. It could be about the show, the book, something else completely.
Us. As long as it's not too personal, we'll answer questions about ourselves.
What have we withheld to this point?
That's true. There's really nothing left to ask, is there?
There's nothing left, yes. You've had all our most intimate secrets.
So yeah, please think of some questions. We'd love it. It would be a little bit awkward and very anticlimactic if we get to the 50th episode and we have 0 questions to talk about. If that does happen, trust me, the two of us will be able to fill the dead air with just chatting.
We've managed it to this point. We have.
For 46 episodes, we pretty much just blathered on. So we could do it for one more.
Sansa, who's played by Sophie Turner?
Yes,
is that right?
Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner's pregnant, so we wish her well.
Congratulations. She's married to a Jonas brother or something like that.
Is she really?
Someone
you know what I feel like? I feel like we've said that before on the podcast, and I made the same reaction then. As if I'm faking my not knowing, but actually I didn't know.
He's a singer of some variety. He seems to be significantly shorter than her. I know that, and that's about it.
She was always going to marry someone shorter than her. She's a tall lady.
Yes, unless she picked a basketball player.
Yeah. So, especially in these troubled times, I hope she
right
comes through that safely. And
yes, congratulations, Sophie Turner, and
yes,
your famous husband, who we can't remember exactly who he is.
Once you're back on your feet, come on our show with us. We will treat you like royalty. We'll treat you like the queen you should have been.
That's right. Wait.
But for your interfering father.
All right, so shall we wrap this up? I know it's a little shortish of a chapter, but there's really only one. There's two big pieces of information. One, the girls are being shipped back to Winterfell, and 2, Ned seems to have made a rather large discovery that he's been trying to figure out since he arrived in King's Landing, basically.
Yeah, he has. He's cracked it.
Yeah.
The one thing is, though, the question for me is, we know now what he and Stannis were investigating. Of this, there's no doubt. The reading of the book, the visiting Gendry and Barra, it's clear what he was after.
Yeah.
But have we solved his murder? Is that what he was murdered for?
Right, yeah.
And if so, by whom?
Right.
Because there's plenty of people who might want you dead for knowing that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Now, we know the note from Lysa said it was Cersei, but we've met Lysa now. Nothing she says or writes holds much water for me.
I believe she also said it was Tyrion.
She did, that's right. Who knows who she'll say it was.
If you're going to accuse, try and keep it to the one person, you know.
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't think we know yet, but we know why. We don't know who.
Yeah. Well, no, we don't even know why. We know that this is what he was interested in. We don't necessarily know that this was the reason.
Right.
It may have been.
Yeah.
It may have been the theory that you concocted, or it may have been because of what he did with this information.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a very good distinction to make there. We don't know why. We know what he was doing when he was killed. We don't know if it has necessarily anything to do with why he was killed.
Yeah. But if I was Ned, I would treat this knowledge like unexploded bomb.
Right. Yes.
Because the previous hand found this out, and a week later he was dead.
Yeah, it's either related or it's quite the coincidence. One or the other. But either way, be careful would be some good advice for Ned. Yeah.
But of course, this is Sansa's chapter, so let's pretend. I mean, let's care about her.
Yeah. Her head's in the clouds and her mind is on songs and romance, as many a 12-year-old girl might be in her position, being such a highborn young lady in such a romantic situation, I guess. But she's devastated now because, as she puts it, her life is over before it even began. Oh, there was such drama. They're taking it all away from her. The pageantry of the court, all the things she loves, the gallant knights, they're taking it all away and sending her back to the gray, drab walls of Winterfell. It's all over.
But on some levels, she must know what Joffrey is like.
She must.
He's a monster.
She has to.
He's awful. As I said, in the TV show, he was so gallant to her in the previous scene that it kind of fueled this in the scene with Ned and Arya.
Yeah, that's good. That would be good for that, to help explain this a little bit.
Exactly, because we haven't seen him be anything nice to her since before Nymeria bit him, basically.
Yeah, exactly. When they were riding on their date, that was the last time we saw him be.
That was the last time
he was a little bit sweet to her at the feast after the first night of the Hands tournament.
Until he dropped her like she was hard.
Absolutely.
Because
left her with Sandor.
Yeah, he was better for a brief second, and then his true colours sort of came out. And dumped her in the clutches of the hound, which is not exactly... That would be my recollection of that evening, not... He was sweet to me for 10 minutes. It would be like, I had to walk home with the hound.
That's right. But,
who makes Littlefinger look sweet and nice.
They did have quite the heart-to-heart conversation. Although it did end with him threatening death if she ever spoke of what they talked about.
Exactly. So. Less of a heart-to-heart, more of a heart to, please, God, don't tell me.
I don't want to know. But, if Syrio Forel comes with Arya, she should be pretty good to go back because she's not exactly well-suited for the finer things of court life, No.
It's a great result for her if he comes back, because then she gets to be with her brothers, who she likes a lot more than Sansa, and she gets to keep doing the thing that she's found down here that she's enjoyed, All right. As always, you can reach us at ghost.harrenhall@gmail.com and follow us on Twitter at ghostharrenhall. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and now YouTube.
Yes. Of course, we've been on YouTube. I've just discovered recently that we were getting comments on YouTube. So if you're leaving comments on YouTube, I promise to make a better effort to check those and respond. Anyway, if you wouldn't mind helping us get the word out, you can't even imagine how appreciative we would be of that. So if you wouldn't mind leaving a review on iTunes or podchaser.com or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you could leave a review, we would so be thankful.
Okay, thank you for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.